Welcome back everyone, and thanks for joining me for another Everything Wrong With installment. I'm doing a hell of a lot better now, considering how I got my ass kicked at the conclusion of my last video, but it's alright. I'm not gonna forget that one. Anyway, this video is long overdue, especially since my Everything Wrong With Dartigan's Devil May Cry 4 Special Edition video is the most viewed video of the series, yet it has the most dislikes of all my other videos, and I can probably successfully guess why.
What the hell kind of a sin is that? You're playing a hack and slash action adventure game, not a dating sim, but everything else in the scene is totally possible, I guess, right? Hey, if you want to be emotionless throughout this whole video, do you, pal. What do you mean it doesn't benefit Dante? He has someone on the inside who can feed him intel on what they're planning, and they don't know yet that it's really Trish. But he was pursuing Dante, not rescuing Kyrie.
Alright, that's enough torture for your ears, ladies and gentlemen. Please enjoy this polished and complete remaster.
Not so fast. Baby sure can pack a punch.
Devil May Cry 4 came from the era when Japanese devs were desperate to appeal to new audiences because Japanese players were obsessed with mobile games. In the attempt to make their games more appealing to Westerners, many franchises were gutted, rebooted, or saw popular main characters switch for new ones. This approach pretty much ended with failure every time, as characters like Dante were already appealing to people in the West. So of course they dropped him as a lead in favor of Nero, who looks just like Dante, fights just like Dante, steals clothes from Dante's wardrobe, and has a name tied to the darker history of Christianity just like Dante.
And here we're starting off with a cornucopia of bullshit in this video. Nero, yes, was created as a new main character in this franchise, but he was made to attract new fans to the series and also as a balance to Dante, since Dante was OP as f*** in this game. Also, despite what your opinion is regarding this character, as someone who spent a lot of time playing both this game and Devil May Cry 5, I can safely say that no, the character does not play like Dante, nor was he regarded as a failure. Sure, his reception at first was a bit lukewarm from people who only wanted Dante to return, but at this point, the character has been accepted among fans of this franchise. And you know damn well why he looks like Dante, so don't feign ignorance here.
Inadequate. I find it difficult to comprehend that you were this soft a year ago. Here's the proper number of sins appropriate for Dartigan's pretense of ignorance.
Ah, so you're back. Not that I'm surprised, really. I was expecting you, SC.
Affirmative, Omega. Any video in this series that you produced at this point
should expect to have me appear in some capacity. What is this blasphemy?
Oh, this is your penance for the little stunt you pulled. You want to be a part of this video? Fine. But I'm gonna have some fun with you this time, SC. And I don't want any bitching out of you. You know you had this shit coming.
You broadcasted to the world my vices in the last installment.
Which I wouldn't have done so indiscreetly had you not disappeared during Resident Evil Revelations 2 without telling me.
Very well, Omega. Once this is over, we will negotiate proper terms from the next installment onwards.
Good. Now, let's keep at this.
Nero doesn't even alert anyone in the church that he had to clear a path just to get here.
Why would he though? He killed all of those demons in his way, and he's been working for the Order of the Sword for a while now. It's not like these citizens or his superiors don't know these demons exist.
He still missed your entire performance. Why do you look so happy? That's bad boyfriend material.
Hey, genius. He didn't miss the entire performance. Sure, he only caught the ending, but Kyrie is well aware of what Nero does, like a caring and understanding girlfriend should.
This city is full of Assassin's Creed main characters in waiting from the looks of these churchgoers.
Dartigan makes a video game reference that isn't a sin of this game cliché.
2,000 years ago, the Dark Knight, Sparta, turned against his demon brethren and took up his sword for the sake of mankind.
I was about to send this Pope-looking dude for starting his sermon off with exposition, but then I remembered that's actually what church sermons are all about. So instead, I'll send the game for casting Liam O'Brien to play Sanctus. You pretty much give away the fact that a character is the main villain when I hear his voice behind him.
Oh, sure, because Liam O'Brien always voices the main antagonist, am I right?
Kyrie is Nero's girlfriend. The game doesn't spend much time on their relationship other than this one moment before she vanishes for the rest of the game. I think the majority of their lines were just screaming their names at each other.
What the hell kind of a sin is that? You're playing a hack and slash action adventure game, not a dating sim. Who cares if the game doesn't elaborate a whole lot on their relationship? Who really stopped to think about that in the 4th entry of this video game series?
Nero hides his demon arm inside that arm sling, yet his girlfriend, nor anyone else, has ever asked why he has a perpetually broken arm.
How do you know that no one has ever asked Nero about it? Just because you don't see it in this scene doesn't mean it couldn't have happened at some other point which isn't important to the events of this game. Besides, Nero keeps it in a sling to hide its demonic power and presence from others. He suffered an injury at some unspecified time before the events of this game, and his natural demonic power manifested into the Devilbringer. Kyrie doesn't know about the Devilbringer, but she knows about the injury he suffered.
I won't hold my breath.
Dante has always been a nerd's idea of what an impossibly cool person is. Nero, on the other hand, is what an insufferable cunt believes himself to already be.
Nero hate number 1.
Dante is showing remarkable one-liner restraint in this situation where the developers need to portray him as a possible villain.
Or he could be studying Nero's moves and beginning to suspect his familial ties with him.
A double-barreled revolver has to be the dumbest weapon ever in the history of outlandish weapons. You can only fire it 3 times before needing to reload.
Okay, dude, fucking stop. You're playing a video game where characters have demonic lineages, can jump several feet into the air, and can survive fatal injuries, among other things. Trying to apply your real-world logic falls flat here. Besides, Nero created and customized this gun himself, and the Blue Rose isn't the only firearm that you can shoot without needing to pause for a reload.
This will be the only time in the game Nero has to reload despite the inefficient design of his gun. In fact, this may be the only time in the series' history that a character has been shown reloading a weapon.
Wrong. Dante's shotgun is a perfect example of a gun that doesn't continuously...
Omega, it isn't necessary to have to indulge in all of this. Allow me.
Okay, what do you got, SC?
Mary would like a word with you, Dartigan.
So, you're looking to play, huh? Alright, I guess I got some time to kill.
You were here on important saving the world business. Yet you were allowing yourself to be distracted by a kid you don't even know instead of ensuring Sanctus stays dead.
Not sure if you noticed, but Dante has accomplished his primary objective and Sanctus doesn't come back to life on his own. He figures, since he took out Sanctus, he might as well kill some time fighting with Nero, especially since it's only the 2 of them right now.
We're the same. You and...
We're the same, you and I, cliché. This is one of the few times I could be convinced that the statement is truthful. Nero could be an alternate outfit for Dante.
It's only a cliche according to you because of your blatant scene manipulation. Here's the full scene.
You aren't human, are you?
We're the same. You and... and them. Though I suspect you carry something different from the others.
Also, you do realize that Nero and Dante are related, right? Why is it a sin that they resemble each other, considering who Nero's father is?
Yeah, I'm sure none of the Order guards will see you hide your demon arm by turning sideways, or see it sticking out of your sleeve later. After screaming their names at each other a few times, these two lovebirds went out part ways for pretty much the rest of the game. But we'll expect us to care when the time comes because Nero gave her a necklace.
It's not just because of a necklace that Kyrie shows up again later. After Sanctus is revived and Agnes later reports to him, they plan on using Kyrie to lure Nero into a trap. And they did this after Nero repaired Yamato.
It looks cool, but it makes me feel stupid to even think about how that works.
A small suggestion, human.
Do not think about it. The difference in outcome over your understanding will barely matter.
I hope you enjoyed that bit of plot, because there is very little of it to be found in the next few hours of gameplay. It's all boss fight introductions until Nero gets to the castle. I've stepped in gas station puddles that have more depth and character than this plot.
Look, I understand that this series isn't plot heavy compared to other video game franchises, which is fine, but that doesn't mean that there isn't enough plot at work to explain why characters are doing what they're doing. Nero has been ordered by his superior to apprehend Dante, and Dante is headed to Fortuna Castle. How do I know this?
Fortuna Castle, huh?
That's what the witnesses said.
Guy just came from hell. He's gotta hit up a couple tourist sites.
Just so lightly in a time of crisis? You must capture him.
Trust me, I'll get it done.
That's how.
This works.
Come on, you piece of shit! I'll die! Brooks every time.
These monoliths are hellgates, and they are scattered all around the city, yet Nero doesn't destroy them even after seeing demons popping out of them. He doesn't even kill the demon.
Why are you so desperately trying to fool your audience? Nero tries to kill each one of these demons, and in fact, he does kill Bale. Burial and Echidna escape from Nero before he can kill them and retreat back into the Hellgates to regain their strength, and that seals them for the moment. In Bale's case, Nero sealed the gate himself so as not to fight 6 Dagons all at the same time. And the reason he didn't destroy the Hellgates is presumably due to 3 reasons. 1. He doesn't know how to destroy them. 2. He lacks the strength to do so. 3. He doesn't know about the devil arm powering up each gate.
You are just like he was.
And he would be...
Even hell demons like playing the pronoun game.
You really should have titled this video as, "Let me see how much I can fool my audience about Devil May Cry 4 by manipulating scenes." Notice how Burial says it's been 2,000 years since he was in the human world. And now, we'll go back to the scene that spells it out for you.
2,000 years ago, the Dark Knight, Sparta, turned against his demon brethren and took up his sword for the sake of mankind.
How do you even get into that position? She can't have grabbed the doll with her legs from behind and then jumped off the tower.
You just gotta love this guy's suspension of disbelief and how selective it is. Also, why are you calling a demon a doll?
It's almost like Capcom decided that after turning down publishing Bayonetta, they would stick a character that apes her style in the new DMC game before Bayonetta could launch.
Dartigan makes a video game reference that isn't a sin of this game. Cliché.
Fighting in heels is one thing. Fighting in heels while standing on great flooring is another level of impossible.
But everything else in this scene is totally possible, right? You know, like how the demon in this scene was created by another demon, and this demon is killing a bunch of other demons. All that's possible too, right?
Good old 2008 boob jiggle, creating the most ungodly breast movements and turning a generation of teenagers into ass men.
Fucking what? Are you seriously suggesting that this scene of large breasts jiggling will turn men towards liking only asses?
Gloria.
Nero has all the personality of a car battery.
Nero hate number 2.
There are only 2 reasons that will make a woman put in the effort to act this sexy all the time. Either she's being paid to, or she's trying to get someone's attention. Neither reason is in play here, so she's putting in a whole lot of effort for no payoff.
Or she's fully playing the facade, facade of secretly being someone else in disguise, which Nero never discovers during the events of this game.
Well, that's an angle that doesn't leave much to the imagination.
Now, I might not be too sure about this point I'm about to try and make, but I'll give it a shot. I think, just maybe, taking a stab in the dark, 1,000,000 to 1 chance, high risk gamble, betting my life on it. That's the fucking point.
So this is where Nintendo got the idea for Splatoon.
Dartigan makes a video game reference that
the old man Sanctus is the villain, but Nero doesn't know that yet. All he knows is that he's the leader of the Order religion and was killed earlier today. Nero is literally disrespecting a dead man.
How exactly is that a sin? This is in character for Nero, who is rebellious. This does not compute as a sin of this video game at all. What the hell was that?
Look at the board game puzzle they let the intern design. They must have been so proud.
So you're trying to make fun of someone else's work? Welcome to my world. Now let's see you do it without making yourself look stupid.
No explanation will be given for why Virgil's katana is here, unless that was explained in the DLC, and I don't really care if it was.
Okay guys, all kidding aside, this is one of many reasons I started this series. The piss-poor lack of insight and research on a video for a channel that has thousands of subscribers is insulting to the audience and to other content creators that struggle and see no fruits of their hard work and labor compared to this lazy shit. What fucking DLC that gives any insight to this game's story is this guy talking about? And to make it worse, he openly says he doesn't care if it was. So if there was story DLC that told a coherent story with clarification and explanation, he would dismiss it. Probably because he'd have a harder time trying to manipulate it so he can pull one of his bullshit gags that he got from CinemaSins. That and misspelling Virgil gets you 50 sins. Oh, did I say 50? I'm sorry. I meant this many.
I had to capture and control countless demons to harness their souls. Summoning them alone was almost an insurmountable task.
Agnes explains all of his evil plans to Nero and therefore us, and I swear I could not care less about the logistics of creating demon soldiers. When magic exists in your universe, you don't need long explanations. Just say magic.
Complains when a game doesn't explain enough, yet complains when a game explains something.
Oh, Jesus Christ, will you make up your fucking sick mind?
Anyway, I don't care for what you think about this, because this scene explains the Demon Knights, who are a little more important than some of the other enemies in this game. And you may ask, why are they more important? Who are the ones fighting the demons later in the game after the main Hellgate is opened due to the Order's deceptive plan to put out a fire they deliberately started?
Savior has come for us to deliver us salvation!
Exactly.
You need him alive. You should really stop stabbing him.
No, he doesn't. The Order was going to use Dante for their plans.
While not in Dante's league, you still presented a harder fight than I had anticipated.
Dante?
I had originally intended to absorb him into our savior. But circumstance presenting, I'd rather choose the option at hand.
Gideon, run! Gideon!
This game is really struggling to make Kyrie and Nero something we should care about. It puts zero effort into developing their relationship, but them screaming enough at each other in a memory is enough to awaken Nero's devil trigger. I guess that was the most significant thing that has ever happened to them.
Hey, if you want to be emotionless throughout this whole video, do you, pal. But the game is making it crystal clear that Nero deeply cares for Kyrie, and we'll see how this shapes a few key moments of the story later on. And no, it's not that simple. Nero was close to death here, so his inner plight and turmoil had to have been one thing that Yamato responded to. This led to the sword reforming and coming to him, which awoke his demonic power.
It was night a minute ago when Nero entered this waterfall cave. Once out the other side, it's midday.
This is one of the things I was referring to when I mentioned that you make yourself look stupid. That shit has now been solidified in concrete. Jesus, man. Dante literally offers an explanation that answers this sin of yours, and the scene where he says it is literally the very next sin you cover. Had you instead shut the f*** up, maybe your audience would realize how you're treating them like they're idiots. But we don't do that here at OmegaBlackHeart. So here it is for people who pay attention, aka are not like Dartigan.
What the hell is this? Must be the effect of the gate.
This blatant stupidity is worth extra.
Sup? Just thought I would check in and remind you of how much better this game could have been had I been the main character. Later.
Nero hate number 3. And let me clarify something for you. Keeping the same playable character constantly can sometimes become monotonous. Breaking that cycle with a different character can offer new ways to experience a game or a story with a different point of view. The result can be the game becomes more enjoyable since there are options. I recommend that you be a little more open-minded. Change can be a good thing sometimes.
That arrogant kid possesses demonic power! He resurrected Yamato!
You kind of lucked out with that, since you need Yamato to open the main Hellgate in the city. So much of this plan seemed to rely on Nero doing everything you needed him to do on pure chance. What exactly would be happening right now had Dante not shown up and tried to assassinate Sanctus? Was the Order just waiting for that before they commenced?
What would the Order have done had Dante not shown up, huh? Dante was guaranteed to show up sooner or later since Lady explained it in this scene.
The story goes that Sparta served as the feudal lord of the city long ago. The people who live there today take these legends as truth and worship them, just like a god.
They worship a demon as a god?
Peaceful worship can't be condemned, but the real problem is the Order. Lately they've been running amok, catching demons, and have even butted in on some of my jobs.
Maybe they're starting a zoo.
Not just demons. They've also been targeting devil arms, like the ones you have.
It seems the Order was deliberately doing this in order to get Dante's attention. This led to him discovering that the Order had Yamato in their possession from Trish, who went undercover. Sure, Nero's involvement was something that happened seemingly by chance, but what you're failing to realize is that up until discovering Nero's demonic powers and his blood relation to Sparta, the Order was actually after Dante.
While not in Dante's league, you still presented a harder fight than I had anticipated.
Dante?
I had originally intended to absorb him into our savior.
I'm surprised they gave Gloria a chair to sit in. With the way she acts, I figured her resting position was grinding on a stripper pole.
Okay, you got me there.
Is she reliable?
She once brought us the sword Sparta, and hastened the completion of our savior.
I need to point out that Gloria is actually Triss in disguise, and to gain their trust, she handed over the Sword of Sparta, which helped the Order complete the Savior, and her position in the Order doesn't seem to benefit Dante at all.
And I'm gonna stop you right there. What the fuck do you mean it doesn't benefit Dante? He has someone on the inside who can feed him intel on what they're planning, and they don't know yet that it's really Trish. How the hell does that not benefit him? Also, this is the first of many times you're going to butcher a character's name in this video. Not sure if it was intentional or not, but it's stupid, and it's extra since every time I see or hear it.
Once again, Nero doesn't destroy the Hellgate that the demons are pouring out of.
Dartigan repeats a sin to pad his sin counter cliche.
And who the hell is Dante?
You seriously don't know who the son of Sparta is? The guy this city worships? That's like living in the Vatican and not knowing who Jesus is.
That's not really hard to believe when you take into fact that Nero is the rebellious type who doesn't care much for religion for starters. Also, notice that for a while, Dante isn't even identified by some characters in this game. Kratos, in fact, doesn't even tell Nero who he is when he ordered him to pursue Dante.
Fortuna Castle, huh?
That's what the witnesses said.
Guy just came from hell. He's gotta hit up a couple tourist sites.
Just so lightly in a time of crisis? You must capture him.
Your attention span is what's hard to believe.
You possess the power of a demon.
What of it? So do you. You transform into one to fight Nero.
Kratos didn't know about this, smartass.
Oh, it's, her. That girl. And she saw Nero's demon hand and was shocked to learn he's part demon. I guess these two haven't taken their relationship very far. This is our first time seeing it. He was headed there anyways. You didn't really need to kidnap his girlfriend to convince him.
But he was pursuing Dante, not rescuing Kyrie.
Nero, we must set aside this battle until I find out the truth of this.
Considering you can fly and you headed towards where Agnes flew off with Kyrie, I would assume you would arrive at the tower in minutes, yet Nero will reach it well before you.
Omega, how much intelligence does this human lack?
Let's just say a lot, SC. Why do you ask, though?
Because of this line of dialogue from Kratos.
Nero, we must set aside this battle until I find out the truth of this.
According to my calculations, this means he will do research prior to fighting against Sanctus. This is the opposite of what this human did before creating this video.
I think it's time to put you out of your misery.
Nero fails to kill just about every boss he fights in this game.
Dartigan repeats a sin to pad.
Man, I wish Nero could parry like that when I'm in control of him. In-game, all he can do is dodge.
So what? That's not a goddamn sin.
You can't spell cool badass without screaming childish tantrum.
Nero hate number 4. I wonder if this dude also tries to do the same thing to people who are under emotional distress like Nero is.
You. What are you doing here?
You were chasing Dante in this direction the entire time. Of course he's going to be here.
The last time Nero saw Dante, this happened.
Sorry, kid. This is gonna have to wait.
Considering only recently does Nero finally realize who Dante is, how the hell is he supposed to expect to find him here? And more so, his girlfriend was abducted, and he pretty much just wants to save her now. Screw everything else. Kyrie is his top priority.
Nero is reaching talkative porn cameraman levels of annoying.
Nero hate number 5.
That sword was used to separate our world from the demons. I can't have something of that kind of power floating around now, can I? I need this. And keep it.
Well, you put up a strong argument, kid. I guess I'll have to let you keep the sword that can end the world.
Or it could be that Dante knows something that a lot of people suspected or already knew.
I know I just made a joke about porn cameramen, but I think one was hired to direct the cutscenes in this game given all the ass and cleavage shots.
Dartigan doesn't know shit about fan service.
That magical curtain Triss pulled out of the ground to swap clothing behind? That was actually more material than she was wearing.
Well, if the kid screws up, then I'll just have to kick his ass.
Spoiler, he screws up.
Failure to compute on how this is a sin detected. Failure to compute on how this is a sin detected.
Is it not your wish to become one with her?
Now that you've asked that, I'm actually really curious on how Nero expected this relationship to work if he never planned to show Kyrie his demon arm.
Hey, Mr. Know-It-All, care to explain how the hell you know that Nero never planned to show the Devilbringer to Kyrie? Because it seems to me that Nero could simply have wanted to do it later in the future and wait for an ideal moment to reveal this to her.
Within the Savior, your mortal bodies will combine, melting into one to manifest and create his core.
So Sanctus plans to bring this god statue to life by merging Kyrie and Nero inside of it. I'm surprised Platinum never sued. It's almost like they had advanced knowledge of the Bayonetta script.
Dartigan makes a video game reference that isn't a sin of this game. Cliché.
A thing of utter and pure beauty.
Go blow yourself.
This is why I hate Nero. Lines as stupid require Dante's sass for a proper response. Nero just gets angry.
You already know what I'm gonna send him here for.
I had originally intended to absorb him into our Savior. But circumstance presenting, I'd rather choose the option at hand.
You mean you could have gone through with this plan to create a god statue anytime you wanted, but held out in hopes of absorbing Dante, and then in the end went with Nero and his girlfriend and it works just as well?
Dude, just know. The Savior is incomplete and is incapable of moving. According to this, someone with Sparta's blood must be absorbed into the core in order for the Savior to be fully activated, and then it can be controlled with Sparta's sword. Now this point can be contested a bit, because if that's the case, why is it that Sanctus can seemingly let himself be absorbed to activate and briefly control the Savior himself? You should have pointed that out instead, because your asking of why it works with Nero is briefly explained.
Still, I must salute a man who carries the blood of Sparta. No! Run!
And they didn't bother animating Kratos' mouth for that line.
So melodramatic. Besides, if you die without giving my sword back, I'm gonna be pissed. Then come and get it.
Devil May Cry 5 has so much work cut out for it if it wants to make this unlikable douche the main character again.
Might as well play a recording at this point.
I'll sweep the city and evacuate the people.
Really? All by yourself? That seems like a big job for one person.
Oh yeah, sure. Trish is definitely gonna need backup. She can't do a thing without someone backing her up.
The Order's plan was to unleash demons from the Hellgates they created, then use the Savior to destroy them in hopes of spreading this religion further to control the world. But why start in the city of Fortuna?
Skipping the rest of this crap, because Dartigan answers his own question.
The Order's plan was to unleash demons from the Hellgates they created, then use the Savior to destroy them in hopes of spreading this religion further to control the world. What cruel twist of fate has left this world without the invention of underwire support?
I will now oversee the introduction of a new cliché. Dartigan doesn't know shit about fan service. Cliché.
The real problem is the Order. Lately they've been running amok, catching demons, and have even butted in on some of my jobs.
Maybe they're starting a zoo.
Not just demons. They've also been targeting devil arms, like the ones you have.
Had you three not gotten involved, none of this would have mattered. The Order couldn't complete the Savior without the Sword of Sparta, and they couldn't open the Hellgate without Yamato. You gave them Sparta to get inside, and while they had Yamato, it was broken until Nero came along and fixed it. And that only happened because he was chasing after you. And from the sound of Lady's report, the Order wasn't really doing anything wrong. Just looking for devil arms. Apparently that was enough to convince Dante to head there and assassinate Sanctum. So all of this is your fault.
Good f***ing God. I don't know where to start with that truckload of bullshit. But let's try and make this coherent. 1.
Had you three not gotten involved, none of this would have mattered. The Order couldn't complete the Savior without the Sword of Sparta, and they couldn't open the Hellgate without Yamato. You gave them Sparta to get inside, and while they had Yamato, it was broken until Nero came along and fixed it. And that only happened because he was chasing after you.
If they had not gotten involved, things could definitely had played out differently, but that doesn't change the fact the Order had Yamato in their possession, and sure, it was broken, but what if eventually the Order did find some way to repair it? What then? Demons would run more amok, and innocent people would be killed. That's beside the fact that these three getting involved shut down the Order's operations, and that includes the demons that were created by the Order themselves. 2.
And from the sound of Lady's report, the Order wasn't really doing anything wrong, just looking for devil arms.
So the fact that the Order is planning world domination isn't something that's wrong to you? Lady even says,
well, what if their intentions are foul, and there's a diabolical plan behind these apparently random acts?
The Order's plan was to unleash demons from the Hellgates they created, then use a savior to destroy them in hopes of spreading this religion further to control the world.
3.
Apparently that was enough to convince Dante to head there and assassinate Sanctum.
Wrong again. That was enough to at the very least begin investigating the Order, which led to Trish going undercover and discovering their true plans. This is also likely how Dante learned about them in possession of Yamato. And 4.
Apparently that was enough to convince Dante to head there and assassinate Sanctum.
Jesus, man. This game literally has subtitles, and yet you misspell and mispronounce his name, yet here you got it correct.
So instead, I'll send the game for casting Liam O'Brien to play Sanctus.
Your inconsistency is consistent in this video, but that doesn't make it look any less disorganized and stupid. 20 sins.
After hours of Nero, you finally get to control Dante. This is definitely an improvement. The only issue is that Dante's section has you backtracking through every level and fighting every boss Nero failed to kill while destroying the Hellgates he neglected to destroy. The second half of this game is just the first half in reverse.
For once, I'm going to ignore you repeating another sin to pad your sin counter to wholeheartedly agree with you. This was definitely a huge flaw with this game, and the fact that Capcom could not remedy this in some way with the special edition, which came out 7 years later, is pretty inexcusable. I'd remove more sins for you actually pointing out things like this, instead of all the other crap I've had to clarify throughout this video, but nah. Just nah. 1 off is all you're getting.
You mean to tell me that Nero could have just done that, instead of playing that stupid board game to progress?
You're seriously asking this when the character on screen isn't even who you bring up?
Holy Jesus. What is that? What the fuck is that?
Also, by this point in the timeline, Nero is nowhere near as powerful as Dante. That's been made pretty clear several times in this game, but you, of course, will play dumb to fool your audience. Seriously, don't you think Nero would have done that if he could or knew how to?
You summon and kill. Summon and kill. I fail to see the logic here. Said it. The price to pay for power?
It was really nice of Agnes to not only play along with Dante here, but to be the one who started the Shakespeare bit and set up the lighting for it.
Fuck that. This scene was hilarious and showcased more reason why Dante is the most popular character in this series. You should have removed sins here.
No. If you're gonna continue your research in the next world. No. Do your homework first.
Performing research is all about learning something you don't understand. Homework and research are the exact same thing.
This coming from the guy who said this game has story DLC that explain how the Order of the Sword obtained Yamato?
Now comes the part where we throw our heads back and laugh. Ready?
Ready!
You can't make this shit up.
Think you better help the others. Try to get them as far away from here as possible.
What others? I thought she was evacuating the city the entire time by herself.
Hey, genius. That's what she's been doing the whole time. She may have simply wanted to check on Dante to back him up in case he needed it. But Dante doesn't need backup for this. Hence he tells Trish to continue helping civilians, not just by evacuating them, but killing any demons that pose a threat to them. You really need to work on your attention span because holy shit.
I understand the appeal of big scale equals big action, but if the design is clunky, and this fight is clunky, the entire moment falls apart.
The entire moment falls apart?
Get the fuck out my face with that shit.
Time to wake up, kid! You're missing out on all the fun!
No, I'd rather not share any of it with him. Let Nero stay where he is.
Nero hate number? I don't know what fucking number at this point. By now, this dude's ridiculous hate boner rivals Big Ben. Anyway, the only way to destroy the Savior is from inside, and that's coming from Dante himself, whether you like it or not.
Why does Nero have to do the board game again when Dante already showed you can bypass it by cutting the dice in half? Think about that for a second, game developers.
Dartigan repeats a sin to...
This makes the third time I've had to fight all these bosses. Why do people consider DMC to be the worst game in the series? I think this game is by far the laziest.
I can tell you exactly why people consider DMC to be the worst in this series, yet I can attest that game isn't the worst. You also have some fucking audacity to call this game the laziest, yet you made this video, and I've never seen you do a video on the true winner of the worst of this series, Devil May Cry 2. You gladly deserve these many sins.
Even the final boss of this game is just a repeat of a previous boss fight with a few added moves.
Get used to it. Repeating bosses is common in games made by Capcom, and especially these games.
This is where it started. And this is where it'll land.
It all ends where it began cliché. In this case, I think it's because they rushed the game out early and didn't have time to create a unique final section, rather than some meaningful metaphor. In this case, I think it's because they rushed the game out early and didn't have time to create a unique final section.
But he doesn't appear to know that this gameplay section involving the Devil Prayer is very different from the final gameplay sequence in the other games before the final cutscene.
Wait for me.
That's all she has done the entire game. In fact, it appears she has regressed. She can't even say your name out loud anymore.
So now we're just gonna hate on Kyrie for no reason, are we?
Okay, now I know they were just trying to beat Bayonetta to market, make that hand out of hair, and it's the same thing.
Dartigan makes a video game
Hey Dante, will we meet again?
In about a decade, sure, I don't see why not.
I'll remove another sin here because of how Capcom proceeded after the vanilla version of Devil May Cry 4 was made. They backed a reboot that no one asked for, and though they remastered this game with 3 extra characters that made the game much more fun to play, they added almost nothing else to remedy the backtracking, and barely any story additions, especially for Virgil's inclusion. It took 11 years before they finally got their heads out of their asses. Somewhat.
I only sinned this game because Devil May Cry 5 was announced and I realized I knew nothing about Nero except that he was Virgil's son. Turns out that was all I needed to know, and that fact was never revealed in-game. That was confirmed by devs later in interviews. I could have gone into Devil May Cry 5 blind and been just fine.
And that, my friends, sums up why this particular video is easily one of this guy's worst. Knows barely a thing about what he's talking about, yet erroneously sends it to trend surf. That, and misspelling Virgil again gets you these many sins. Hey everyone, it's OBH again. Thanks for watching me dunk on this 14-minute and 48-second monstrosity yet again, and I apologize for the audible train wreck that was my audio quality back then. Now, I feel like I did Devil May Cry 4 justice. As I start physical therapy soon so I can hopefully again hold it myself when I pee, I'm going to work on getting some more gameplay stuff out of storage before work begins on the next installment. I'm sure some of you won't be surprised what's coming next when I show you the intro, but it's about time I move things forward. Here's what's coming next on Everything Wrong with Dartigan.
that for road rash.